Please welcome Kerry Richardson.
Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests. I'd like to tell you about my friend Jim. Jim is 18 inches tall, has a British accent, and spells his name funny. G-I-M. Jim is my mojo. He helps me make proper life and health choices. Jim rides around on my left shoulder and uses the word wanker a lot, because that's what British Jims do. I met Jim about 16 weeks ago at a Walgreens. I was about 3 weeks into my fitness challenge at Goals in Motion, GIM, and I went into the store to pick up my blood pressure and cholesterol medicine. Now, I'm usually pretty careful when I go to Walgreens, because I know if you go on the outside of the store, you'll find more healthful things. So, I made it in the front doors, zipped left, past the cosmetics, skated through the shaving cream, around the corner, past the cold medicine, and made it to the pharmacy. I picked up my prescription, turned around, and started heading back on my path, when inexplicably, I turned down the middle aisle of the store. Well, I made it past the sundries and to the toys, and I stopped. My inner child stopped me, and I stutter-stepped for a minute while I checked out all the new colorful packaging and all the new offerings for people 4 to 11 years old, and satisfied there was nothing that I needed, I once again began my forage to the front of the store. I was on a beeline to the front when the scent hit me. My pupils started dilating, and a drool that would make a Pavlovian dog jealous began to seep from the corners of my mouth. There I was, smack dab in the middle of a two-sided candy celebration. My first reaction was to run. I had not had a drop of sugar since my challenge began, and as the self-appointed president of the Iowa chapter of the Junk Food Junkies Association of America, I knew my chances of leaving Walgreens without a bag of goodies was turning very slim. I pondered, then began to eyeball the shelves. Starbursts in 3 different theme packs, M&Ms in a plethora of colors and tastes, Twizzlers in licorice, chocolate, and strawberry, and a wall of rocks candies that would make the great Willy Wonka himself green with envy. I started reaching for the Whoppers when I heard someone yell, "Don't do it, wanker!" Shaken out of my candy coma, I looked around to see who was yelling at me. Seeing none, I reached for a Snickers, and the second I grabbed it, I felt a tug on my ear. Well, I looked to my left, and there he was, all 18 inches of British intimidation. I immediately knew who he was. I'd heard the rumors at the gym. Some doubted his existence, but I always believed. I hadn't needed him up to this point. And true to rumor, there he was. I gave him the nod and wink to let him know that I didn't need an introduction, but that didn't stop him. He looked at me and said, "Jim's me name, and I'm a friend true blue. When you ain't thinking straight, I'll be there for you. Now put that sugar and chocolate back and take me home for a proper snack." Well, I dropped the candy and felt my temperature rising. I looked over at Jim and I pointed my finger. And I started giving him every legitimate reason I could think of why I needed that candy bar. I said, "Jim, I've been good. Jim, one won't hurt. Jim, they're on sale. Jim, a guy has to reward himself once in a while." And desperately I said, "Jim, I'll go home and do sit-ups to burn off those calories." Well, Jim didn't waver. He stood up on my shoulder and looked down on me. He reminded me of the times that 3 candy bars a day was normal. He reminded me of those days just a few weeks prior, when I would stop and get fast food on the way home and eat it, and then go home and eat supper with my family. He reminded me of those times that I would be taking donuts to the office and I would eat 6 of them on the way. And then Jim reached into my pocket and he grabbed my wallet and he took out the picture of my wife and kids. And he reminded me that I wasn't the only one that this obesity was affecting. Well, I wasn't done fighting, but I was beaten. I was in that aisle for 10 minutes before Jim made me see the light. I walked out of Walgreens empty-handed. Jim and I's relationship flourished after that heartfelt meeting. He helped me through the rest of my 9-week challenge and even turned a blind eye when I celebrated my accomplishments after a completion. Well, thanks to Jim's help, I was able to lose 36 pounds, eliminate 5% body fat, and drop 2 sizes in my pants. Thanks to Jim's guidance, I am now eating a variety of foods that not only satisfy my palate, but they're proper nutrition. Now, I'm far what you would call a physical specimen. I've had very positive results in a short term, but I realize that a lifetime of abusive habits are not overcome in just a short 9 weeks. So after my initial 9 weeks was up, I immediately entered what is known as the maintenance program. Now, some gyms would feel that their job was done when they got you through the challenge, but not my gym. He sat me down and made me make new goals for myself and immediately expects another goal once I've completed one. Well, with Jim's assistance, I've managed to drop another pant size, fit back into my favorite jeans, and drop my body mass index to a level below the obesity mark. It was very awkward for me to celebrate the fact that I could now be classified as overweight, but when you've been obese like I have for such a long time, it was truly a momentous occasion. Now, Jim doesn't come around as often as he used to. When I need him, he's there. Jim has a whole new set of challengers that started this weekend, and I don't mind sharing him. Jim is going to be my friend for life. It still amazes me every day the positive changes I've made in the short time I've known him. And as with many things, when I have passion for something, I wrote Jim a poem thanking him for all of his efforts. I recite this poem to myself when I need to get through tough times, and I'd like to end with it. Jim, you stimulate me to use the power I've held within. Jim, you motivate me to find the man I once was again. Jim, you educate me to fuel my temple with proper fare. Jim, you dominate me in my thoughts. You're always there. Jim, you invigorate me to leave behind obesity and strife. Jim, you exhilarate me. I'm so glad you're in my life. Thank you.
While you're still pondering over what Kerry said, quite a few sentences from it.